Welcome. This is Tuesday Talks, and I'm delighted that you are able to join us for week 21 of Tuesday Talks. Yes, pretty amazing. And I am just thrilled today to welcome my guest, Nikki Devitt, President of the Petoskey Chamber. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And before we even get started, I just have to tell you what a wonderful job you and your staff and the Chamber has done through all of these heavy lifting months that we've had with COVID. You have done an outstanding job of communicating and keeping the community as calm as you possibly can. So
thank you so much. We have an incredible team, and we are just so passionate about this community, and it makes it not easy, but we're happy and proud and honored to do it.
Well, all of that comes through, and you definitely are a go-to. But we'll get into that a little bit more later on in our conversation. But first, let me say, we are in the middle right now of a pretty severe thunderstorm. So if you hear some cracking and banging, or if we're jumping, that's probably why. Yes. We will be getting some bad weather is coming through right now. But as we begin our time together, Nikki, I know that you're from Michigan. Mm-hmm. So where in Michigan were you born and raised? And
I was raised for most of my childhood in a little town called Ortonville, Michigan. Oh, yeah. Ortonville, Brandon. Yeah. So north of Clarkston, north of Detroit. So I grew up in Oakland County, and spent the last couple years of my high school years moved to Tuscola County, to Cairo. So I have a hybrid high school experience.
That's interesting, I'm sure.
Teenagers moving at 15, 16 years old is always interesting. But no, so I lived downstate my whole life until I moved up north about 14 years ago.
Okay. And college experience?
No, I actually, it's funny, I think as any individual, but especially as a woman, you feel like you have to have this litany of this path that you took, and this says who you are, and this validates you. And I started working when I was 14 years old, and I think I was just a few months into my first job at 14, going to school, and paid my first DTE bill to help out the family. So I never looked back.
Wow.
And I used some incredible opportunities and some even more amazing mentors throughout my life to chart my path and to learn along the way and really find the value in that hands-on experience. There were multiple moments in my life where I thought I should go to college now. And another opportunity would present itself and turn into a bigger opportunity for me on a career path. And I realized that, what I was gathering along the way was just as valuable, in some ways more valuable. And so yeah, I'm very grateful for the path I had. I know it's not traditional, and I don't ever look back and regret it.
Well, you have been able to take, like you said, those directives that came your way. Nothing happens by chance. So you obviously are amazingly talented at looking at situations and turning them into experiences and opportunities, and you have look at you and what you've done now, and even backing up. So sometime after high school, then you started doing some work in the broadcast, radio broadcast.
I was in my late 20s, mid to late 20s, when I kind of happened into broadcasting. I'd been working in news for a while. I'd done retail management, I did restaurant management, and I fell into it just by chance, really. The newspaper that I was working for at the time actually owned a radio station as well, so it was like, oh, let me help and dabble here a little bit.
There you go.
And let me learn a little bit. Yep. And that turned into a 10-year career, and by the time all was said and done, I had done morning shows, I sales managed departments, and ended up doing program and operations, and essentially marketing, all of it, every aspect of radio I had my foot in at one point in time, and ran a station and loved it and enjoyed it, loved being on the air, loved having that client-based relationship. So broadcasting was a lot of fun for me, and it was a good part of, you know, almost all of my 30s. So, but I enjoyed it very much.
You have such a bubbly, wonderful personality. I was going to ask you what part of broadcasting did you really like, but
all of it.
All of it.
All
I know.
of it. All of it. All of it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I can't even ask you that question because you would have really taken to every aspect of it, and which is why you did some of this, some of that. You did some on-air stuff, some behind-the-camera stuff, and kept learning as you were going.
I had great mentors, great teachers when I was in broadcasting, and it was really interesting to learn from the best. There's something very unique to be said, too, for the personalities that are attracted to broadcasting, especially radio. I felt like I always stood out a little bit because what most people don't understand is that voice you hear on the radio is usually an introvert, and they are much more comfortable behind the microphone than they are out in public, at events, or anything of that nature. So I was the opposite. I was kind of the black sheep in all the stations that I worked at. Because,
Gee, really?
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, we can get out in front of people too? I was like, wait a minute, let's go. So, but it's such an interesting dynamic, the people that really make those radio stations work and run. And it's very different now, I will admit that. Radio changed dramatically over the course of the early 2000s, and it's now much different than it was even when I started. But what was interesting always about it was all of the different personalities that it takes to make it work, and all that goes on behind the scenes in broadcasting is so fascinating. It's just air when you think about it. It's just voices over the air, and the impact that can have on somebody's day and their life, whether it's the music, whether it's the content, whether it's the advertising, is really, truly one of those things that when you look at the psychology of it, it's extremely fascinating.
So powerful, so powerful. It really is. And you talk about behind the scenes. Well, we know a lot about behind the scenes and what happens behind the scenes and what happens on stage. So there's no question. But it's interesting that you said, many of the personalities tend to be more introverted, and yet they are the personalities that are asked to appear or to MC or to. So I'm sure you slid into many of those roles very comfortably.
Yeah, that was easy for me with a stage background, but it was just interesting to me the first time, one of the stations I was working at, and one of the morning show team members was like, yeah, I don't want to go to that event, I gotta talk. And I'm like, you talk every day. Exactly. Like, yeah, but that's different. I'm safe here. I'm like, oh, wow.
Okay, well, let me at it, right?
Yeah, of course, let me go, I'll do it. But it was interesting to discover that truly, really resonates with so many. Radio is a performance. Regardless of what anybody says, that talent, they are performing for you. Now, to the level of their character, completely depends on who they are, what the format is.
Sure.
And everybody is different in that sense, but it's still a performance.
Right.
Before you turn that mic on, you've got to get yourself here.
Oh yes.
So
yes,
yeah.
Get yourself centered and focused, and you're right though. It is the sort of a protective environment in the sense that you're in that studio and you're interacting sort of with that microphone. I mean, certainly with the people out there, but you don't have to look at them.
No, you don't.
Eye to eye. So, okay, about 14 years ago, you made the trek up to Petoskey.
We did.
Why did you come up?
For jobs. So the station, so my husband and I actually were in radio together for several years. He actually just left the industry last year. So he's much longer tenure than I had. And so we moved up here to take some new ventures in the broadcasting world. So yeah, it just was 14 years. I can gauge it because my youngest turned 1 in November when we moved. So we moved in September, he turned 1, so that's how I always remember.
Yeah, exactly. I understand that. Time just flies, doesn't it? And was it an easy adjustment? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was interesting. We're both from downstate. Yeah. We both grew up in Oakland County.
So, and that's different.
All of our family is down there.
Okay.
And we had no family. And so it was surprising to me because we didn't miss a beat. And it was just, the community was so embracing. There is something to be said for Northern Michigan, Petoskey in particular, that has something almost intangible as far as if you're ready to invest in a community, and by invest I mean your family, your time, your energy, your work, your talent, this community will absorb you so quickly and welcome you with open arms.
Yes.
And so we were both, dedicated, hardworking, got involved in the schools right away, and it was fantastic for us.
Yeah, it is an amazing place, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, and you're right, you don't skip a beat, because I get asked that a lot. Don't you miss, well, sure, family's down there,
Yes.
and some friends and things like that, but
no, it's different. It's a different miss. And the most amazing thing for me, though, the one thing I was fearing I would miss would be the arts and the culture. And not even close. There's the boom.
There it is. Boom, boom. Well, and I know you practically were not even unpacked, and
Nope.
you were knocking on the door of the Little Traverse Civic Theater.
I was not. I still have boxes. That's what was crazy. I think we were here 2 days, 3 days. And I just happened to be kind of walking around downtown and exploring, and I saw the Crooked Tree Arts Center. I'm like,
Yeah.
And I peeked in, and sure enough, I see the stage and went, oh, okay. Went home, looked online, checked it out, and I'm like, okay. So I went back up, and sure enough, they were having auditions in a couple days, and I said, honey, I'm gonna go audition real quick,
Real quick, yeah.
real quick. And I did. And so yeah, that was.
What was that first show? Do you remember?
That was Proof.
Okay.
Fabulous show, and that is when I met Jamie Platt. So Jamie and I were in that together, and directed by Gary Albert, and it was just a welcome into Civic Theater could not have been better than it was at the time.
Yeah.
Just fabulous.
They were such staunch members and of the community and
As
all
well.
of that. And so, as they say, the rest is history. I mean, you have been involved in, you're president
I
now,
just left,
Okay.
in July, stepped back from my president role of the
Okay.
Civic Theater. So I've been on the board, my goodness, I think total, probably about 8 or 9 years. It's been on and off. But yeah.
All of us, I'm sure I'm speaking for many people out there, have enjoyed one performance after another, all the different shows and musicals and plays and straight plays, and we have such a culturally rich environment here. We're so fortunate. And so this kind of brings us to the Chamber of Commerce. Not the Chamber Orchestra, but the Chamber of Commerce, and you've been there now 6 years, is it?
I coming up on 7 already. This last year kind of went a little fast.
Well, congratulations. 2 things. I know that you received a very special award last year.
Yes, it was recognized by the Michigan Chamber of Commerce professionals as one of the leaders for the year, so that was really big for me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, I think it's a very big award. We may not know that, but it's a very prestigious
Thank you.
and quite an honor to be selected for that award. So congratulations, and I can't think of anybody more deserving.
Thank you.
Then I'm not sure which came first, your new role in the chamber or your wonderful award.
That would have been, so that was October that I was awarded the Professionals Award, and then I took over as president following, a community icon in Carlin Smith. I took over that position 2 weeks before COVID.
Well, there you are, right?
Timing.
Dead silence, right? It's like,
Timing.
welcome. I mean, wow, that you are the kind of person that you are, and you just take up whatever there is on your plate and you do it and you attack it. And you also had the 6 years of experience with Carlin and at the chamber. But so, what a ride it has been, huh?
It's a good thing that one have the most, and I know people say this about their coworkers or their teams, or even I've said it about cast, it's the best cast ever. But this team, this core of these individuals that just eat, sleep, and breathe this community, just like I do, has made it not easy by any stretch, but has made it doable. And so, first and foremost to that. And it hasn't been easy, but you just go through it with the mindset that this wonderful place we live, this beautiful community, and every business that makes it what it is valued. So when you're faced with so much uncertainty, the best thing you can do is be there, is be the information, be the source, be the link, be the connection that's needed to make sure that whether it's an employee, whether it's a business owner, whether it's, you know, an organization as a whole, that you've got their back. So
well, and I was just going to read a few things here. I mean, it's amazing. So of course we know what a Chamber of Commerce is, and you know, you're here to protect the community and improve the quality of life. But I guess I didn't realize the Petoskey Chamber of Commerce has been around since 1919.
yeah, we celebrated
and
last year.
That's right.
100
That's
years
right.
last year.
And that's right, we had a big celebration. But you work with nearly 800 businesses. That's mind-boggling. And you do help in areas of business promotion, networking, advocacy, economic development, tourism, community enhancement. Wow.
Yeah, we are the 16th largest chamber in the state of Michigan. The Petoskey Chamber is.
Wow.
Think of that from a population and a demographic standpoint. It's extremely interesting. And I will say the big thing that I will champion all day is the advocacy through this time for us has been something that means so much. So working not only with our legislators, but also working directly with the governor's office. In Lansing, we're part of a 16 chamber economic development group that's known as the Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance. We represent 7,000 businesses in Northern Michigan. And it is because of the efforts of the Alliance and what we did that got regions 6 and 8 open first. Open early, open first, and we have not stopped since that first one to keep us going.
Have not stopped.
Because we know how important it is. You know, we say that Northern Michigan is not like everyone else. What works here doesn't work downstate.
Right.
And as somebody who grew up there, had a career there, moved here, I understand the differences. And so it's very important that we champion how different we are in this rural space. We have all these beautiful things, all the arts and the culture and that entrepreneur spirit, but it works differently and our challenges are different. So we're extremely passionate at the Chamber about making sure through this, as long as it takes, that Northern Michigan has a voice.
And you do. You do provide a voice, and you stand behind not only the restaurants and the businesses, but the nonprofits too. And another, I think, extremely unusual thing about our area is the volume, is the sheer number of nonprofits.
Amazing.
That we have up here. And it is amazing. And certainly with your involvement with the Civic Theater and of course the Great Lakes Chamber Orchestra, who we are, what are we not doing? You know,
we're not doing what comes naturally to us and what funds us.
Exactly, and not performing live is, and it's a stake in your heart, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You know, just standing on that stage again. A few days ago or
last
whatever.
week.
I
just got to get up there for a minute. And I was like, oh, thank you.
Exactly.
Feel recharged.
And as I communicate with our musicians and all of us, you know, we know that it's not only the aspect that we're not performing for you out there, but we're not doing our thing either as musicians and as performers. So,
which is so vitally important. Please take care of your performing heart, because it's more than just a health, it's more than just economic, it is our mental hearts and what makes us drive. And as performers, I find a way, get it out there.
Exactly, and I think I know probably the Civic Theater is finding ways to live stream and do things. And of course, we're talking about where are we going in the next couple of months. As you all know, we have canceled our September and October concerts, and we're looking towards December. And what might that bring? A live performance at the Center for the Arts, or maybe it's a live streaming or some kind of video collage. And so there's lots of new things. We just keep learning new things, don't we?
We'll keep learning and we'll keep adapting.
And you are working on all of the programs that you have and that are tried and true, but you're also working on reinventing them a little bit.
Completely reinventing almost everything we do. And we know that right now our biggest value is making sure that any programming that the Chamber puts out is going to help develop, maintain, and grow our community as a whole.
And
you know,
sustain
we
us.
have to do it. We have to be there. So That's what we'll do.
And you are and you have been, and I know I speak for everybody, you know, not only business owners, restaurant owners, and nonprofits, but also the community at large that goes to you all the time, asking questions, looking for answers, and so we thank you, all of us thank you, all of you, you and your staff and the Chamber, Petoskey Chamber, for being who and what you are, and for doing what you have done to just help so many people stay calm and stay focused and remain successful as we can through this COVID time. So I hope you've enjoyed our chat with Nikki. I know I certainly have.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for all the support that you show, not only to the orchestra, but to the other businesses, restaurants, and other nonprofits in our area. We truly are not through COVID yet. We would like to think so, or we'd like to think we're seeing an end. And I think we are working through some things.
We are.
But we are still all in this together. And so I know I speak for Nikki too. I don't have to speak for you.
You don't have to, but you do. Go ahead.
We want to thank you for all the support that you show all of us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nikki. And thank you.